Your smartphone vibrates in your pocket, and your hand reaches for it almost reflexively. Sound familiar? The average person checks their phone about 150 times a day. We spend more than 6 hours online daily. That's a quarter of our lives. Digital fatigue has become a reality that most of us face. It's a state where a constant stream of information, notifications, and online interactions depletes our mental resources. The first signs of this condition are difficulty concentrating, irritability when offline, and a paradoxical feeling of loneliness in an era of hyperconnectivity. Studies show that 70% of people experience what is called phantom vibration, the sensation that their phone is ringing when it isn't. Our brains have adapted so much to constant digital interaction that they start to hallucinate it. This is an alarming symptom of an addiction that forms imperceptibly, much like a cup filling drop by drop. We find ourselves trapped in endless scrolling, constant switching between apps, and a continuous stream of content. Remember how our parents and grandparents used to relax? A book in the park, long conversations in the kitchen, fishing at dawn. Relaxation was tangible, material, happening here and now. With the advent of the internet and smartphones, the very concept of relaxation has undergone revolutionary changes. We became the first generation that can relax without ever tearing ourselves away from the screen. Traditional relaxation required physical movement, going out into the garden, going into nature, meeting friends. Digital relaxation, however, is paradoxical. We remain at the same screen as during work, only changing the context of interaction. Our brain often doesn't recognize this subtle boundary. Is an evening spent watching a TV series after a day at the work computer truly relaxation? Neuroscientists assert that for our brain, changing activities within the same digital space is merely an illusion of a break. However, the digital world has also given us new forms of relaxation, previously unavailable. Meditative apps that immerse us in a state of mindfulness in a matter of minutes. ASMR videos that induce pleasant tingles and deep relaxation. Virtual walks through the Amazon rainforest or the mountains of Tibet, requiring no physical movement. We have learned to create digital oases of calm amidst the information storm. But at what cost? Psychologists note, quality rest should activate different neural connections than those involved in daily routine. This is why a walk in the park without a phone often proves more restorative than an hour of scrolling through social networks. Digital relaxation has become convenient, accessible, but it has lost something fundamental: physical distancing from the source of tension. The Scandinavian word hygge has long entered our lexicon. It's not just coziness, it's a whole philosophy of comfort, warmth, and harmony with oneself. But what happens when hygge meets the digital age? The traditional image of hygge is a woolen blanket, hot cocoa, a crackling fireplace, and unhurried conversations with loved ones. However, today, Danes, the creators of this philosophy, are actively integrating digital technologies into their concept of well-being. Digital hygge is not a contradiction, but a natural evolution. Virtual book clubs where people from different corners of the world discuss what they've read in an atmosphere of mutual respect. Joint online movie viewings with friends thousands of miles away, with synchronized pauses and live chat. Apps that create background sounds of rain, a campfire, or ocean surf, helping to immerse oneself in a state of calm. Digital hygge is the art of creating moments of closeness and comfort even through a screen. It is the ability to transform technology from a source of stress into a tool for mental well-being. Danish psychologists emphasize the key element of hygge is mindfulness, not a specific format. You can thoughtlessly scroll through social media feeds by the fireplace without feeling an ounce of hygge. Or you can create an atmosphere of deep presence during a video call with relatives. The modern interpretation of hygge teaches us an important principle. Technology is just a tool, and it is up to us whether it becomes a conduit for comfort or a source of anxiety. Interestingly, young Danes are creating digital hygge rituals. For example, cooking dinner together via video call or synchronous online meditations. They are forming new traditions, adapting age-old wisdom to the realities of the digital age. In an era where digital technologies permeate all spheres of life, a new trend emerges: mindful gaming, combining interactivity with mindfulness practices. These are not merely entertainments, but tools that help us return to ourselves through the digital space. Paradoxically, the screen, often associated with scattered attention, can become a guide to deep concentration. Applications like Journey or Monument Valley create a meditative experience through visual aesthetics and well-designed gameplay. They slow down our perception, forcing us to focus on every action, every decision. Neuropsychologists note, such games activate brain regions associated with mindfulness and emotional regulation. Unlike mindless scrolling, they demand full presence, creating a state of flow, that very state where time disappears and we are completely immersed in the process. Interestingly, many mindful games utilize ancient practices in a modern shell. Breath offers visualization of breathing techniques known for thousands of years. Prune transforms the Japanese art of bonsai cultivation into a digital experience of creation. The psychological mechanism of their effect is based on shifting attention from external stimuli to internal sensations. We learn to observe our thoughts without identifying with them, a basic meditation skill, but in a game format. Such applications help form healthy digital habits, creating positive associations with the conscious use of technology. They serve as a peculiar bridge between the digital world and mindfulness practices, showing that technology can not only deplete, but also restore our mental resources. It is important to remember, even the most meditative game cannot replace a full disconnection from screens. However, it can be the first step towards a more mindful interaction with the digital world, especially for those who are not ready for a radical digital detox. In the world of continuous digital stimulation, a radical but effective trend is emerging: the digital retreat, a conscious rejection of technology for a certain period. This isn't just a fashionable whim, but a psychological necessity. Our brain, not evolutionarily adapted to a constant flow of information, literally begs for silence. A digital retreat is a kind of pilgrimage to oneself through disconnecting from the network. The forms of such rest are diverse, from gentle practices to radical ones. Some choose a partial detox, giving up social media for the weekend but keeping access to email. Others go into complete digital silence. Special retreat centers in the mountains of California or the forests of Finland, where phones are sealed in envelopes for a week. The psychotherapeutic effect amazes even skeptics. After 3 days without gadgets, participants note improved sleep, reduced anxiety, and most importantly, a return to the ability for deep thinking. Neurobiologists record the normalization of cortisol levels, the stress hormone, and the restoration of natural circadian rhythms. Interestingly, many after a digital retreat note the phenomenon of mental clarity, as if the fog in their head dissipates and thoughts acquire crystal clarity. This is not mysticism, but the result of freeing cognitive resources from the constant processing of information noise. Even short periods of digital rest, 24 hours without a smartphone, can become a powerful resource for the psyche. We relearn to look into the eyes of our interlocutor, not at the screen between us. We return to the feeling of time, not broken into fragments by notifications. We rediscover the value of boredom, that fertile state from which creativity and self-knowledge are born. What happens to our brain when we allow ourselves quality digital rest? Recent neuroscientific research provides surprising answers to this question. When we immerse ourselves in a meditative game or practice mindful content consumption, the so-called default mode network of the brain is activated. This is a special neural system responsible for self-awareness, empathy, and creative thinking. Precisely those qualities that are suppressed by digital overwork. Studies from the University of California show 20 minutes of quality digital rest activate the production of alpha waves, associated with a state of relaxed concentration. This is that very state of flow, when we are completely immersed in an enjoyable activity, yet remain aware. Neuroplasticity, the brain's amazing ability to reorganize itself, works both ways. Constant stress from information overload forms neural connections responsible for anxiety and scattered attention. But regular practices of digital rest create new, positive patterns. Tomographic studies confirm, after 4 weeks of regular mindful gaming sessions, the density of gray matter in the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for decision-making and emotional regulation, increases. Research into the effect of ASMR content on the brain is particularly interesting. These videos, which induce pleasant tingling and relaxation, literally bathe our brain in oxytocin, the hormone of attachment and trust. This explains why many experience an almost intimate connection with ASMR bloggers, even though they have never met them in real life. Quality digital rest is not just a pleasant pastime, but a neurobiological necessity in an age of information overload. In a world of continuous digital flow, conscious pauses acquire special value, micro breaks that can radically change the quality of your work and life. These small islands of silence amidst the information storm act like a reset button for the brain. The 5-5-5 technique has become a real salvation for many. 5 minutes of deep breathing, 5 minutes of stretching, and 5 minutes of complete silence. Just 15 minutes, and the effect is comparable to an hour of rest. Neuroscientists confirm, even short pauses trigger the restoration of cognitive functions. The square breathing practice, 4 seconds inhale, 4 hold, 4 exhale, 4 hold, can reduce cortisol levels and restore clarity of thought in just 2 minutes. Such micro-practices are especially effective precisely because they do not require leaving the work context. The Japanese Nikon technique offers a 3-minute reflection. What did I receive today? What did I give? What difficulties did I create for others? This simple ritual helps restore emotional balance in the middle of a busy day. It is important to implement these practices before fatigue sets in, as prevention, not treatment. Set a timer every 90 minutes. This is the optimal cycle for brain performance. At the signal, simply look up from the screen and focus on a distant object. This elementary practice not only gives the eyes a rest, but also shifts the brain from concentration mode to diffuse attention mode, where creative solutions are often born. We are what we consume. This truth applies not only to food, but also to information. The digital content we process daily shapes our thinking, emotional state, and even our worldview. Think about it. After watching certain videos, you feel a surge of energy and inspiration, while after others, you feel emptiness and anxiety. This is not a coincidence, but a direct consequence of the quality of your digital nutrition. Neuroscientists compare the impact of content on the brain to the effect of various foods on the body. There's, quote, for the mind, short, bright, but empty videos that cause an instant dopamine rush and subsequent exhaustion. And there's nutritious content. Deep, meaningful, leaving a lasting aftertaste and stimulating the growth of neural connections. How do you choose content that truly enriches? The first criterion is conscious consumption. Ask yourself, am I choosing this content, or is it choosing me through algorithms? The second is the emotional trace. What do you feel an hour after watching? Emptiness or fulfillment? The third is practical value. Have new thoughts, ideas, or a desire to act emerged? Quality content doesn't necessarily have to be serious or educational. A light film, created with love and attention to detail, can be more nourishing for the psyche than a superficial lecture. It's not about the genre, but about depth and sincerity. Regularly review your subscriptions and recommendations. A digital diet, like a regular one, requires mindfulness and discipline. Remember, every view is a vote for a certain type of content that algorithms will continue to offer you. Paradoxically, in an era of total connectivity, many of us feel lonelier than ever. Social networks, which promised us unprecedented closeness with others, often leave us with a sense of emptiness and isolation. Psychologists have termed this phenomenon the paradox of digital loneliness. The more virtual contacts, the sharper the feeling of disunity. Research shows that scrolling through social media feeds filled with idealized lives of others increases cortisol levels and lowers self-esteem. We observe edited versions of other people's lives, comparing them to the unedited reality of our own. It's no surprise that after 30 minutes of such comparison, many experience a decline in mood. Yet, the same platform that causes stress can also be a source of support and comfort. The secret lies in conscious use. Start by auditing your subscriptions. Every account in your feed should either inspire, inform, or entertain. If the content evokes negative emotions, mercilessly unsubscribe. Create zones of digital warmth. Communities of interest where interaction is based on shared passions, not social status. Such groups often become a source of deep connections that grow into real friendships. Establish digital presence rituals. A specific time for checking messages, a concrete duration for staying in the app. Transform social media use from a mindless habit into a conscious action. Remember the producer-consumer rule. Try to create content at least as often as you consume it. Writing posts, commenting, participating in discussions activates different neural connections, transforming passive consumption into a creative process. Life in the digital age demands new rules of hygiene. Not just physical, but digital. Just as we brush our teeth and wash our hands, we need daily rituals to maintain the health of our digital space. Start with a notification audit, these constant attention thieves. Turn off everything except what's truly important. Remember, each interruption costs you 23 minutes to fully return to a task. Set up Do Not Disturb mode on all devices with a clear schedule. For example, no notifications before 9 in the morning and after 8 in the evening. Create digital boundaries in physical space. Define gadget-free zones. The bedroom is an ideal place to start. Research proves the blue light from screens suppresses the production of melatonin, the sleep hormone, and checking messages before bed activates brain areas associated with anxiety. Implement a screen-free hour rule before sleep and after waking up. These periods will become anchors, keeping you grounded in reality. Organize your digital space as meticulously as your physical one. Delete unused apps, archive old files, systematize photos. Digital clutter creates cognitive noise, draining mental resources. Practice digital minimalism, a philosophy that advocates using technology only for tasks that truly enrich your life. Regularly conduct digital Sabbaths, days of complete or partial disconnection from the network. Start with a few hours, gradually extending this period. Even short intervals of digital silence help restore mental clarity and reevaluate your relationship with technology. We stand on the threshold of a new era in mental well-being technology. Artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and biometric sensors are converging to create personalized solutions against digital burnout. These technologies don't just react to problems, they anticipate them, analyzing subtle shifts in behavior and psychological state that we ourselves might not notice. Next-generation AI assistants are already capable of recognizing the first signs of digital fatigue from our mouse movements, typing rhythm, and even facial expressions. They gently suggest a break precisely when our brain begins to lose efficiency, but we ourselves are not yet aware of it. Biofeedback technologies are becoming increasingly accessible. Smartwatches and rings that measure heart rate variability help determine the optimal time for intense work and deep rest. Imagine a bracelet that gently vibrates when your body enters a state of stress, reminding you to take a few deep breaths. Virtual reality is transforming from entertainment into a therapeutic tool. Immersive VR headset programs recreate natural landscapes with astonishing accuracy, activating the same brain regions as actually being in a forest or by the ocean. 15 minutes in a virtual forest reduce cortisol levels as effectively as a real walk. The direction of adaptive technologies, which adjust to the individual user's profile, looks particularly promising. Neural networks analyze which types of digital rest are most effective for you specifically, and gradually form a personalized digital well-being strategy. The future lies in integrated mental health care ecosystems, where technologies don't distract but guide our attention, don't deplete but restore resources. Applications are already emerging that don't just block access to distracting websites, but offer alternative activities based on your goals and values. It's important to remember, technology is a tool, not a panacea. Even the most advanced solutions require our mindfulness and intention. The future of digital well-being lies at the intersection of innovation and ancient wisdom, that true happiness begins with attention to the present moment. The time has come to turn knowledge into action. Here is the manifesto for a conscious digital life, your step-by-step plan to regain control over technology. Start with a morning ritual. Dedicate the first 30 minutes of your day to yourself, not to a screen. This will set the tone for the entire day. Set specific times for checking email and messages, for example, 10 in the morning, 2, and 5 in the afternoon. During other times, activate deep work mode with notifications turned off. Create physical boundaries for digital devices. Designate rooms or zones in your home free from gadgets. The bedroom should be the first such space. Implement a tech sunset rule. An hour before bed, step away from screens. Replace them with a soul-nourishing ritual. Reading a physical book, talking with loved ones, meditating, or journaling. Practice a weekly digital Sabbath, half a day without gadgets. Start with 4 hours, gradually extending this time to a full day. Use timer apps to be aware of how much time you spend in various programs. Knowledge is the first step to change. Transform passive consumption into active creation. For every hour of scrolling, dedicate 20 minutes to creating your own content. Regularly audit your digital environment. Unsubscribe from accounts that cause negative emotions. Archive old files. Delete unused applications. Remember the rule of 3. Before picking up your phone, ask yourself, is it really necessary, urgent, and important? Create a personal digital well-being strategy tailored to your lifestyle and values. Choose 3 principles that resonate most with you and focus on implementing them. 3 changes that become habits are better than 10 forgotten in a week.